Hello, everyone. This is the Stephen Avery trial. We are on video 12. We left off with Mr. Pratt still speaking to the jury, and we will pick up from there on page 65, verse 22. And by now, you're probably ready to write. So, without any delay, let's get started. Ready? Let's begin. And as you hear officers testify throughout this case, when they testify on the witness stand, remember that funnel approach. Remember that kind of methodology as they talk about these kinds of things. But make no mistake that on the first night, they are looking for Teresa, and they are hoping to find Teresa alive. When that was unsuccessful, the next morning, on the 6th, Mr. Fassbender, Mr. Weigert were able to secure some help. They needed bodies. They needed some cops. They needed some volunteers. And so they got volunteer firefighters from all over Manitowoc and Calumet County areas. And they all showed up in force, en masse, on the morning of Sunday, November 6th. And for the first time, every one of those 4,000 vehicles was opened up. Every one of those 4,000 trunks was opened by a firefighter with a police officer with them, looking for the body of Teresa Halbach. Also on Sunday, November 6th, a firearm was found or recovered. It was actually found the evening before, but it was seized. It was recovered. It was hanging over the bed of the defendant, Stephen Avery. He thought it was appropriate to recover that as a piece of evidence, and in fact it was. You are going to hear that the brand name of this semi-automatic 22 caliber rifle is Marlin. You are going to hear that it is something called tube loaded. Not that any of these things are going to mean much to you at this point, but there are a number of bullets that are able to be loaded into this semi-automatic rifle. You are going to hear, by the way, although hanging over Mr. Avery's bed and his exercising control over that, should be obvious that on the 31st of October, Mr. Avery exercised a great deal more control. A deserving piece of evidence was seized on the Sunday, the 6th of November, and it is what we believe the last recorded voice of 25-year-old Teresa Halbach. When Mr. Avery, the evidence will show, made arrangements to have this young woman come out to his property that afternoon, he didn't use his own name. He didn't use the name Stephen Avery. Even though Miss Halbach had been out to the property, as I told you on a number of occasions before, Mr. Avery used a different person's name. He used the name of B. Jonda, the initial B, Jonda, J-A-N-D-A. That's Barb Jonda, can be Barb Jonda. But when we call the Auto Trader magazine people in Milwaukee, you are going to hear from Miss Schuster and Miss Plizka, two employees of Auto Trader. Mr. Avery used the name and used the number for B. Jonda. Teresa Halbach doesn't know who B. Jonda is. You are going to hear evidence that Miss Halbach called back the telephone number for Barb Jonda, and she left this voicemail. This voicemail was retrieved. You are going to hear this voicemail, and you are going to hear from Teresa in her own words in this courtroom that she got the message, that she knows that you want me to come out to the property. Teresa Halbach tells B. Jonda that she's going to be out there sometime after 2 p.m. that very day on the 31st of October. This will be important for you in determining a timeline. Where was Teresa all that day? Was this before or after she went to the Smith's photo shoot and the Zipperer photo shoot? That's going to be uncontroverted. Absolutely. This is the last stop that she made on the 31st of October. 2 days into this, folks. We're now on Monday, the 7th of November, and the first results from the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory. The first results find several things. First of all, in the back cargo area of Teresa's SUV, they find that there's female blood. They find that there is a lot of female blood in the back of Teresa's SUV. But they also found, interestingly, male blood, at least at that early stage with their early typing. They could find that it was male blood. And interestingly and importantly, that already on Monday, the 7th of November, there is male blood found in the victim's vehicle in at least 6 different locations. 6 different places they find male blood. Mr. Weigert, Mr. Fassbender, all of the investigators don't understand the significance of the male blood being in 6 different places. They do, however, understand the significance of a lot of female blood, and they suspect early on that something horrible has come to Teresa Halbach. Also on Monday, a burn barrel was discovered. Not just any burn barrel. Again, here's a picture, an overview, a part of the serial photograph of the Avery property itself. There is Stephen Avery's trailer, and located outside of Stephen Avery's trailer was a burn barrel that was recovered. Now, again, not just any burn barrel, but Stephen Avery's burn barrel. And you will hear later in my opening, and you will hear a lot of evidence about the trial, about what critical pieces of information were found from that burn barrel. But put it in perspective, on Monday, that was found. I provide this slide just as another example for you of where that burn barrel was in relationship, not only to the proximity of Stephen Avery's trailer, but the proximity to this red Dodge Caravan. You may have already guessed. This is the car that Stephen Avery asked Teresa Halbach to come take a picture of. All right. So the proximity of the burn barrel to his front door and also to the Dodge Caravan will be more important in the determination at the close of this case when you decide who is responsible for these crimes. The next day, 3 critical pieces of evidence are found on Tuesday, the 8th. Now, we talked about these more detailed searches. On Tuesday, one of these more detailed searches occurred in Mr. Avery's trailer. You are going to hear evidence that this bookcase was pulled out, was jostled about. You are going to hear evidence about this particular binder having been pulled out of the bookcase. And after the officers looked through it, how it was slammed back in as the bookcase was actually pulled out from the wall. And after jostling and after searching it, after slamming things around and after putting the bookcase back in its location, you are going to hear this is what the officer saw. They saw a Toyota vehicle key in the bedroom of Mr. Avery. You are going to hear evidence that it had obvious evidentiary value, that the officers at that time stopped what they were doing, and the investigator, Dan Shukarski of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, seized or took control of that key during that more detailed search. More detailed searches were also occurring at the same time of the entire Avery salvage yard, which included now officers, volunteer firefighters, going through all of the cars again. 4,000 searches occurred again on Tuesday. But you are going to hear this time they weren't looking for a body. At this time, they were looking for stuff. They were looking for evidence. After the body wasn't found in their first search, they are going back and they are looking for items of obvious evidentiary value. You are going to hear testimony they found something of obvious evidentiary value. They found the victim, Teresa Halbach's license plates crumpled up in a station wagon. I just show you this slide to show you what the vehicle looked like. The station wagon that the license plates were found in, and also provide this aerial photograph to you to give you an idea of the vehicle that the license plates were found in. Very quickly, I want to remind you of Stephen Avery's trailer is down in the in the lower left-hand corner, and the access road leading to Mr. Avery's trailer comes from the top of this figure down towards the right. Teresa Halbach's vehicle is found in the first vehicle next to the access road on its way to Stephen Avery's trailer. Again, the evidence is going to show, not by accident, the proximity to the defendant's roadway, the proximity to the defendant's trailer, all becoming important.